Good morning, everyone. Good morning, commissioners. Glad to have everyone here. Okay, I think the mic is working. Can you hear me in the back of the room? All right, good. Got lots of heads nodding. Thank you very much. I am Sheila Simon, and my apologies for being late. I like to be on time, and I got lost on the way here. So, but I'm glad to be back at Blackhawk, and glad to be here with the classroom's first commission. I will have everyone. We'll start off by introducing everyone with who you are and who you're representing or speaking for. Linda, you want to start us off here? Okay.
Linda,
Okay.
Try again. Hi, I'm Linda Riley Mitchell. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for the Illinois State Board of Education.
Thank you, Linda.
I'm Jerry Harrison with the Illinois Education Association.
Good morning. My name is Larry Pfeiffer, and I'm a regional superintendent, and I am representing the Association of Regional Superintendents throughout the state.
Good afternoon, or good morning still. Good morning, Representative Chapalavia. I'm your elementary and secondary ed chairwoman in the House. Thank you for all coming out.
Okay.
Jason Leahy, Executive Director of the Illinois Principals Association.
Mike Johnson, Executive Director Emeritus of the Illinois Association of School Boards.
Good morning, Paul Swanstrom, representing the High School District Organization of Illinois.
Okay, and we also have one or two folks on the phone. If you're on the phone, could you say hello to us?
Yes, this is Pat Rocks, General Counsel of Chicago Public Schools.
Okay, thank you, Pat. Anyone else on the phone? Okay. Well, I thank all of you for being here. This is exciting. We are engaged in a process of learning. And I think that's maybe the most exciting thing about this whole back-to-school package. I have asked the commission, and the commission, which is a wonderful bunch of folks, and by the way, I appreciate everyone coming here from places all over the state. I think it shows your dedication to what we're up to. What we're interested in doing is focusing on the goals of educational opportunity and efficiency in use of public funds. We're interested in learning your experience with that, what we can learn from you, what we can share from you with the rest of the state, how we might best direct the state to help in processes of allowing you to get towards the efficiencies that you're seeking, how we might have the state get out of the way in case that's the event of what we're doing. But a very important part of this process is to listen to folks across the state. This is our third hearing. We've had good turnout at each of them. We had one in Carterville, one in Normal here today, and we'll be in Des Plaines tomorrow. And I am very much excited about what you have to say and interested in learning. For those of you who don't have the opportunity to say anything or who think about something on your way home, we have lots of other ways to communicate with the commission. We have a survey, which is very informal and open-ended, which asks for your input. We've been getting a lot of response to that. And you can also get in touch with any members of the commission to express your point of view. What we're going to do today is allow everyone who wishes to speak, and I think there was a sign-up sheet on the way in, to have some time to talk, and so that we can get as many folks in as possible. We're going to limit that time, and we have our very high-tech, Dr. Lynn Hafele is here, who is going to be engaged in the very high-tech art of giving you a green sign when you've got 1 minute left and a red stop sign when your time is up. And I will stop you when your time is up so that we can make sure we hear from everyone. Having said that, I don't know, was Crystal here? Oh, right, I'm sorry, I didn't even see you behind the podium. Thank you. Crystal, would you like to tell us who's coming to speak here?
Dr. Norm Derflinger.
Lieutenant Governor Simon and commission members, I want to thank you for allowing me to speak today. I'm Norm Derflinger. I'm the director for the Center of the Study of Education Policy at Illinois State University, the College of Education, and the Education Administration Foundation Department. Over the past 2 decades, I've studied many school districts and developed over a dozen consolidation studies. And these districts were elementary and high school districts of various sizes. Of all those studies, none indicated that the consolidation was financially feasible without a tax increase referendum after the incentives ended, or a building bond referendum to allow for more classrooms in a central location so other buildings could be closed for efficiency. Based on my experience as superintendent, it's almost impossible to have a consolidation vote where the new district's taxes will go up, not down. Your local school is closed, plus your children will be bused longer. All of you are aware of the costs to bring employee salaries and benefits up to the highest school district level in a consolidation, and it's extremely expensive. This is one of the main reasons why an across-the-board decrease in school districts will not work. The state cannot afford the cost of our present financial incentives for all the districts being consolidated, and without the incentives, the communities cannot afford the increased cost of the salaries and the benefits if they are forced to consolidate. I have a concern that many people in the state have a misguided goal to decrease the number of school districts to aid the state's financial crisis or decrease the cost of education at the local level. All of you know that this is not possible. You've studied this enough already. Our center and I feel that if, and I want to underline the if the state must have a policy to decrease the number of school districts for the perceived betterment of the state, then the academic performance of the school district should be one of, if not the leading factor in considering the consolidation of schools. We feel that the need for higher student achievement has to be the #1 goal of the state. Those of us in the center have heard of school districts whose high school valedictorians have taken remedial courses when they go to universities. We feel that many times communities and parental expectations for education are low, and therefore so are the school district's expectations. During one of our consolidation studies, the president of the board told my partner that he graduated from the districts, and since he turned out okay as a laborer, so will his children and the other students in the district. He feels the district was doing well, and he's not worried about the low test scores, and he said that the other board members felt the same. This type of school district leadership is not acceptable for today, if it ever was. At what point does a community lose the right to lead the education of their children? How many students must fail before society has to say that the community no longer is going to lead the school district? If the state must decrease the number of school districts, and again I say if, we at the center do not feel that the political will to do this is in our legislators. And I speak as a whole. Individually, there may be some. This was also true when our federal Congress had to look at military base closings. To solve the problem, a commission was developed to study each base, and then list of closures was given to Congress for their consideration. Congress has to vote the entire list up or down. Using this system, the political pressure was diminished somewhat, and bases were closed. We feel that if there must be consolidation, a system, something like the federal base closure system, would work best for Illinois. We recognize that the devil is in the details of what standards must be considered for closure, but this obstacle can be overcome. The legislation for the Classroom First Commission came about from discussions on school district consolidations. My final point today is that I think that the Commission should also study the dissolution of large non-performing districts into smaller districts. We recognize that this is in the opposite direction of what many people want in the state. Your staffers can research what the opposite side schools are.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you could stay there for just a second, as to any commission members have questions for you. Go ahead, Linda.
Do you have suggestions on efficiencies in districts if we didn't consolidate? is that part of the white paper?
The white paper does not speak specifically to efficiencies
Right.
in the districts, no. It
Because
does
the
not.
overall, I think, undertone of the TOLD task force is to look for efficiencies as well. It's not to force upon consolidation.
Most of the efficiency studies look at test scores and also look at the cost. I think there's a Kansas study out there, for example. My whole point here is maybe we need to be looking at not just the cost, but also the efficiency of education and the improvement of education.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Oh, one more question, sorry. At least one more question. Come on back, Dr. Derflinger.
You know, I wouldn't let you get by with the other question.
I knew you wouldn't leave me alone.
The base closure
Yes.
concept, that was all federal money paying for the bases and the closures. How would you envision that taking place? That the state would then pay for these
I think if you,
districts?
using the white paper, if you were going to go about that, the state would probably have to look at a selected number that they would look at each year. You couldn't do them all. I think the first group is 30 that we have. The next group is approximately 60. The state cannot afford to look at the incentives for 30 school districts at one time. I think now we have 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6 in a year. That may be what would have to be looked at.
My question is for you and for future speakers coming to the podium who are prepared to respond to this. And yes, there are studies out about efficiencies, and you can do the ratio of performance versus cost. I'm more interested in the anecdotal things that districts across the state are doing, as diverse as our state is. So what are some of the things that a local district would do or has done to make sure that they maintain programs for kids, but are doing it in the most cost-efficient way?
Well, one of the things that not just in Illinois, I think we need to look a little further than just Illinois. In Iowa, many years ago, probably 15 plus years ago, there was fiber between every school in Iowa. And a concept that's out there is to cluster small schools using fiber, allowing them to have the IP courses that are necessary in today's society. It would require a common schedule, a common year, all of that, which are major problems, but a clustering of small districts, having one calculus teacher, doing it over the internet. Most of our universities now are doing instruction over the internet. You can see the teacher on your computer screen. That type of efficiency is going to be needed. When I was high school principal in Lexington, Illinois, one of the teachers was a business teacher. She taught 7 periods in a 5-period day. She had a planning period. You can't expect that of individuals. You can't find teachers that are that diversified. And so one of the efficiencies that might be considered, Paul, is that type of clustering. I think at your normal session that you had, Joe Pescia spoke to you about school closings. This idea of a clustering, he came from Iowa, was from Joe. I think that type of efficiency needs to be looked at. Excuse my gruffness on this, but there's only so much toilet paper that you can buy. There's only so much efficiency that you can do in supplies. The efficiency has to be in people, has to be in employee benefits. One of the biggest part of employee benefits is, of course, your health insurance. Pooling more, some of these small districts just can't afford to pool. There may be a necessity to pool their insurances. We used to have one here. There's a couple up north in the suburbs, better prices. So what I'm looking at is ways to bring these districts together. Unfortunately, I've been around many years, as a few of you have with me. Some of this may have to be forced. Everyone likes, every small community likes their own identity, likes doing their own thing. Now, that goes totally against what I believe in local control of schools. But some of these efficiencies, they're either going to have to be forced or there may have to be a threat of some sort.
Okay. Other questions? All right. Thanks very much.
Tim Wells.
I'm Tim Wells, Henry County Board Chairman. Also work for the local bank here. But I think the new research needs to be done and written to support the efficiencies. Dual districts becoming units in many places may make sense. They create the model for the schools and then become efficient. Let the chart show it. Sources of existing research, like on your website, is not referenced, and I question regards to where the data is coming from. If having one school district per county is better for the student options for better education, show me the research. We need to have an argument that demonstrates what's better for the students and the taxpayers, and yet see anything from the commission that shows these benefits. In the way that the ROE situation was handled is an example of inefficiencies. Plan first, then execute. When I was elected in 2010 to the county board, and I haven't accepted a dime yet from the taxpayers, I'm showing my commitment to the county. I'd like to see that same commitment by this commission. Let's commit to a better school system. The cost of this commission, the cost of the agenda, the cost of the objectives, hopefully they can all be measured. As for my input, scrap the whole K through 12 system. Start over. Speed learning for the abilities of the students. If the students can complete in 12 years and 10, so be it. Sun College is fine, but the virtual school concept that was brought up is exactly what the private sector is going to. At John Deere and many of the other locations are all going to virtual schools. Students should embrace academics, or I should say the students should embrace the 4 A's. That is the balance of academics, athletics, the arts, and activities. That gives you a well-rounded student. That's what the colleges are going for in the competitive market in the college world, as a well-rounded student. All students, of course, are not geared for traditional college focus. I've also had students in Iowa when I lived in other places, and I really appreciated the opportunity of open enrollment. I went to locations that had a waiting list at their open enrollment. That's where I gravitated my daughters to when I was relocating. I know that the fastest growing school district is homeschool. Homeschool, for many, are for the wrong reasons. Student enhancement is not, when it comes to homeschooling, student enhancement is not everyone's goal, but it is mine. Again, Tim Wells, Henry County Board Chairman, elected in 2010, Chairman by December.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Wells? All right. Thank you. And I should probably point out that none of the commission members are being paid anything, just to make that clear in case anyone didn't know that. I haven't even offered to reimburse anything for travel. We're really cheap here.
Dr. Amber Harper.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I'm Dr. Amber Harper. I'm superintendent of Leapertown Elementary School District. The Leapertown Board of Education decided to reorganize during the spring of 2010 following the release of 2 staff members, 2 teachers. This would mean that the children would be in larger multi-grade classrooms. They would now be there would be 3 grades per level. A very thoughtful conversation followed. Do we reorganize and put them in 1 grade level class at another district with 30+ children, or are they better served in a group of 20 with 3 grade levels? The decision was made to reorganize. In 2010-11, we had 5 teachers, pre-K, 1 for K-1-2, 1 for 3-4-5, 1 for 6-7-8, and a special ed teacher. The board was very optimistic we would close June of 2011. According to the Section 711 of the school code, which is included in your written testimony, in addition to maps, Leapertown was most likely to annex to Spring Valley. Spring Valley is, our borders meet, we feed into the same high school. We are very optimistic with this opportunity, and John F. Kennedy School in Spring Valley hosted a meeting September 30th, 2010, for all districts that would be interested in reorganizing with us. At the conclusion of the meeting, Spring Valley asked for a study, as did Ladd Elementary School District. 2 unit school districts expressed interest in reorganizing with us, but because they're unit districts and we're an elementary district, the school code just did not make these alliances probable. The timelines for annexation were coming quick. The studies weren't completed, so we could not reorganize in last year. So we're still there. Studies complete. Spring Valley determined that they could not financially meet the obligations that it would take for them to take us on, and they chose not to work with us. Ladd, on the other hand, wanted to think a little bit about it. They chose to wait. In October, they decided to move forward with legislation that would allow us to consolidate or annex them. Looking at Spring Valley's reasons and the financial reasons that it was prohibitive, Spring Valley is on a 2003 list to build. They've never been given the money. If they had to transport our children, it's $30,000 a route annually. That means that they're transporting them to a building where there's no room. They had also looked into temporary classrooms at $30,000 each, plus lines for utilities, water, sewer, electricity, all of that. So, and then satellite food service. In addition, mileage for staff that would be driving back and forth for like daily PE, music, art, all of these things added to the cost. Ladd's liabilities were different. The problem with Ladd is we're jumping over land for them to get to us, which increases the cost of transportation. We have 18.65 square miles, and where our people live varies. The census in Leapertown, we aren't counted. That's also in your documentation. We reduce Ladd's opportunities of ever receiving ESEA funds because we bring their numbers down, but we bring up their poverty numbers because for free and reduced lunch, they have to add breakfast. Unemployment is going to be another costly part, $120,000 of unemployment costs. And as I close, when you look at this, the Spring Valley example, we need money for construction. When you look at the transportation problem, there's no reimbursement for transportation. And all this, the numbers are written out in the testimony. And also, Leapertown has made AYP, but only because we've had other programs to add to it. Those will be lost, and those children will not have access to those programs when they attend school 15 miles away, because our parents are high poverty, which is also documented in your information. And those parents do not have money for gas, nor cars, nor even a driver's license to get their children there. So, thank you.
Thanks. Stay there in case we have questions. Anyone have questions? Tell me about the status of the legislation.
The legislation is through the House, and it will go through the Senate next. But Ladd is still not totally, they have not totally agreed to take us. We have to dispose of our building, which is an 1896 and a 1970s, late 70s building. And without us disposing of that, they will not consider the next step. And also, the next step includes our Regional Office of Education, and I don't know if they're going to be there to lead us through the next step. So these are all concerns I have, and all barriers that continue to be there.
Okay. Yes.
What's the student enrollment?
We're right at 55.
55 students,
Mm-hmm.
5 teachers, and a superintendent.
Mm-hmm. And our salary schedules are there too.
I didn't see yours.
Mine's there on the second page.
All right.
Thank you for the maps. Could you tell me how many square miles your district is?
I had it written down, 18.65 square miles.
Okay. All right, thanks very much.
Dr. Ellen Lospich.
Thank you for allowing me to be here today. I am Dr. Ellen Lotspeech, and I have been in education for over 36 years as a staff member, a parent, and community members in many rural districts. My stance today is about the importance of rural districts and the smaller districts for our students. Our students today and in a lot of larger districts are breaking down as far as making school within schools, freshman academies. We have research that tells us the more personalized education is the most important for our students to be able to have that one-on-one for them to get to their largest potential. We want every child to be able to go through school and be able to be a productive citizen. In our district, 10 years ago, we had to deactivate our high school. At that time, we were down to less than 60 high school students. We had the technology, we had over the network, we had the first lines for technology and bringing classes in, video classes in. We were co-oping with area high schools for both the staff and for the students. In the late 90s, we were finding we were sending more students away than we were keeping in the district as far as our high schoolers. So at that point in time, the Board of Education felt the quality of education was not where it needed to be, and so we did deactivate the high school with the support of the community. The important part of the community vote was that we kept our elementary district. We are a unit district. We tuition out, and now we are up to 120 students. We have, the opportunity to reopen our high school. And right now, the building would be the main concern because the building's been empty for 10 years, and to rehab it, to bring those students back would be tremendous. We spend over $1 million a year in tuition for our high school kids. That does not include our co-op for special ed, which we send out about 30 students. We have done everything possible to make sure that we are giving the best possible education for our students. We had last year 6 pre-K 3 and 4-year-olds that were being bused for an hour and a half to take them to a neighboring preschool. We took the money and we hired a special ed preschool teacher to have in district so we did not have to transport our kids. At this point, our high school kids, first pickup is 10 to 6 in the morning. We're a 117 square mile district. So they're picked up at 10 to 6 in the morning. The earliest they can get home on the bus is 4:45 at night. A lot of our kids are not able to do activities, extracurricular activities. Parents, just like Dr. Harper had to say, don't have the gas money to run students back and forth. They can't buy cars for their children to be able to drive back and forth. These students are kind of left out of those extracurricular and extra help that they may get if they had a school closer. Don't get me wrong, the students that we have out there are doing an excellent job. All 3 of the districts that we send our students to tell us that our students are well prepared to come into their high schools. Our students, it is not unusual in the top 10 of those 3 high schools for our kids to be in the top 10 and be a majority of them and be valedictorians and do successfully participate in sports and activities. My own children are in high school at Bureau Valley. My kids leave at 6:30 in the morning. They want to be in the plays and things. Right now they're home at 9 o'clock at night, so they're gone all of that time. What I want to impress on the committee is that we need the smaller rural schools. We need to be able to keep the personal education for the students within the small rural districts. We had to compromise and do the deactivation of our high school students. That is not what the community really wanted to do. We bring those kids back every year and have a senior awards. We give out Bradford High School awards to those students, and we have great community support. We give out Bradford scholarships. All of those things are continuing, so our community can still feel like we have an attachment to our high school students and we haven't lost them. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yes.
Quick question. Could you briefly explain your transportation system? I know the scheduling, but
We have 5 buses, and we have 3 buses that go to each high school. The high schools do meet us at the border point, and we do some transportation, and they transport them the rest of the way to the high school. But for some students, they're on 4 different buses in the morning because they're switching. We pick them up in one bus, then we take them to the grade school, we disperse them to the schools they're going to, they switch again. And our transportation alone is $300,000 a year just for transporting the students.
But even with all the costs, you decided that the benefits were better to have the students at a school that could offer more educational opportunity.
Right. We firmly believe in the basic foundations. If we have 24 kids in a class, we've split them. We have, often we would have 2 kindergartens, 2 first grades, 2 third grades. We have had, 4th and 5th grades. If we see the needs of the students need to be expanded, they need that more one-on-one help, we provide that. We get that, and the community has been more than willing to support that. Some of it's by volunteers. We've have a board that has been extremely dedicated to make sure that our students have top quality educational opportunities.
Okay. All right. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Joe Burrio is our next speaker, and if speakers could please speak directly into the microphone for the sake of our streaming video, that would be great.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
My name is Joe Burrish, Superintendent of the Anawan Community School District, 226. On behalf of the 21 public school superintendents, plus the regional and assistant regional superintendent from Bureau, Henry, and Stark counties, with a combined 526 years of service to education, this testimony articulates our opposition to mandatory consolidation. A study in February of 2011 by the National Educational Policy Center, NEPC, titled Consolidation of Schools and Districts, What the Research Says and What It Means, stated, the available research comparing pre- and post-consolidation expenditures finds that districts consolidation does not, on average, reduce educational expenditures. Citing multiple research examples, the NEPC reported increased cost for things such as transporting students more miles, higher teacher salaries in larger districts, necessary building upgrades, or new construction. Even the administrative cost consolidation is supposed to cut, instead often rise, the report said, because larger districts need and usually hire more mid-level administrators. The Chicago Tribune arrived at the same conclusion in a March 25, 2010 article, writing that an analysis of Illinois districts that merged in the past decade revealed that most are spending more than they did before the merger, and many are keeping pace with the state's rapidly increasing per pupil expenditure. A report issued by the Illinois State Board of Education for fiscal year 2009 shows the definite trend that the larger the school district, the more it costs per pupil. Studies and in-depth research have delved into the question of consolidation in our schools and school size. The results are varied, but the main thought is that educational leaders always strive to do what is best for students. In consolidation of our small school, is consolidation of our small schools the best answer? We do not feel that consolidation is the best answer for all of our schools. Because this decision is monumental to our communities, consolidation should remain a local decision. Once again, we believe consolidation should remain a local decision. We have, in the last several years, had to rely more and more on local funding to support our schools. Our district's communities have stepped forward to accomplish this. They have stepped forward because the local schools are important to what is best for their students, their families, and the communities in which they live. We all have our individual cultures and reasons for this support, but in summary, number one, educational efficiency and educational success are undefined in the current consolidation conversation. Meaning undefined targets is an impossibility. What is best for children needs to ring out the loudest. Number two, recent studies regarding consolidation conducted by highly respected individuals have concluded that two inefficient school districts combined do not necessarily mean one efficient school district, such as Dr. Derflinger explained earlier. For low-income students, as district size increases, student achievement decreases. Student achievement in smaller schools is equal or better to that of students in larger schools. Increasing the size of elementary schools lowers student achievement significantly. Small schools are equal or superior to large schools in their ability to prepare students for college admission and completion. Students in large schools are more polarized, with a group of extracurricular participants at one end of the continuum and a large group of students not participating in any extracurriculars at the other. In small schools, few students do not participate in any extracurricular activities. Student performance is equal or better in small schools as well. And that was taken directly from an article from Illinois Public District Consolidation, A Tiered Approach by Dr. Norm Derflinger and Dr. Lynn Hafley from ISU in March of 2011. In our written testimony, we have included study results from consolidation of school and districts from Craig Howley, Jerry Johnson, and Jennifer Petrie from the National Education Policy Center of February of 2011. In an attempt to stay below the 5 minutes, we're not going to talk about those, but they are in your packets. Before the Elementary and Secondary Education Appropriation Committee on March 31st, 2011, Dr. Chris Cook testified, "Our studies thus far show that a smaller district is not necessarily any more likely to be worse from a student performance or a financial perspective than a larger district."
Okay. If you could wrap it up in one sentence, then we can ask you questions.
I didn't see that green
Sure.
thing, I'm sorry.
Give us your best closing argument.
As educators working in the best interest of students every day, we know that we're all about kids and what is best for our students. Consolidation is about children, and we feel that consolidation should be a local control issue in itself.
Okay. Questions? All right. Thanks very much.
I do have Paul Swanstrom asked to ask a question for the rest of us about what we're already doing cooperatively, and I would like to answer that. Districts in our region already participate in shared professional development opportunities. We already participate in special ed cooperatives, alternative schools, purchasing and food service cooperatives, shared administration, and cooperative busing agreements. So we do feel that we are trying to be efficient within our districts and yet maintain our local control. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Jay Marone.
Good afternoon. My name is Jay Marr. I'm Superintendent, United Township High School District 30 in East Moline. I represent a high school district of approximately 1,750 students and we have 5 elementary districts that total population with the high school about 5,000 kids that we're serving. I want to thank the committee for visiting us in Western Illinois. It's a tremendous honor to have you here in our community and also give us an opportunity to share our experiences with you as well. Dr. Derflinger mentioned many of the things that I was going to mention, so I'm not going to repeat those for you. I'm going to talk about two or three items that I think specifically hurt school districts in border areas, especially between Illinois and Iowa, and that's our taxing structure that puts upward pressure on our tax rates on a local level. The two items in particular, and this isn't recent, this has been going on for several years, as many of you know, is tax increment financing on residential districts and the increase in property tax exemptions, in particular, things like the homestead exemption increasing several years ago. Although those are good for us as individual homeowners, that puts upward pressure on the property tax rates, both for the school districts and all taxing bodies. In particular, in a border state like the Quad City area, we've seen a mass exodus of students going to the Iowa side for many reasons. Much of that has to do with the property tax rate. In my constituents that I talked to that have moved from our district to the Iowa side is the property tax structure and just the taxing structure in general. And I think that's probably outside of the scope of this committee, but that's the reality of many of us in the Quad City area, that we're losing kids to the Illinois side. In compounding with that, the legislature a couple years ago did pass a local option sales tax for school facilities, which has been a tremendous thing for the Iowa Quad Cities, and in turn it's been an entire statewide thing. The Illinois did pass that. However, that's a local decision, and it's slowly gaining ground. Closer to the Quad Cities, Knox County and Warren County both passed the local option sales tax, with that money going to school facilities. I would like the legislature to consider implementing that on a statewide basis, much as Iowa has done, because what Iowa saw was a division of have and have-nots. The division grew greater as the counties with large areas of retail areas were getting a great deal of that money, whereas the rural areas were not. That equalized things. I know that's a tremendous structure to pass and likely not going to happen. Representative Chapelivia, that's going to be a challenge to pass that statewide. But that would be a consideration to help schools and put further downward pressure on property taxes. The other item I'd like to talk about is with consolidation. Representing the Board of Education for United Township, we've always been open to conversations about consolidation with our partner districts. I look back at our records from in 1968, a committee of 10 was formed. So this is certainly not a new issue in dual districts in Illinois. The biggest problem, as it always is, it comes down to money. We looked at it a couple of years ago when a local group started discussions. I looked at 3 districts, United Township, East Moline, and Silvis. The pension obligation increase alone would have been, at that time, I think that was in 2009, would have been about $1.6 million per year. And we have an operating budget of about $22 million at United Township. So if consolidation becomes a further issue, the incentives are there. I would encourage the legislature to increase those incentives to help us get over that hump. Namely, because if you look at the consolidations around the Quad City area, about an hour and a half radius of the Quad City area in Illinois, on the Illinois side, the school districts that did consolidate over the past several years ended up having financial difficulties after the incentives were up. They didn't set their education fund tax rate high enough. So the incentives need to be there for us to allow that to happen. So I thank you for your time. I'll field any questions if possible.
Yes.
Paul?
Yeah, Jay. Anyway, I'll pretend. Is this working?
It is.
Okay, great. So the increase in pension liabilities, was that due to the change in salaries from the elementary to the high school? What
No,
brought that about?
that's part of the deal. I think the incentives for salary increases are there. it really boiled down to one district offering board-paid TRS and another district not. Correct, contractual differences.
What kind of loss of students have you been having over the course of the past few years?
Well, in Illinois Quad Cities, speaking generally, at the high school level, our United Township high school population in 1975 was 3,199 kids, 3,200. So right now we're about 1,750. We're heading up. But that's generally true for the entire Illinois Quad Cities. Much of that has to do with smaller families. The loss of manufacturing jobs is certainly have an impact on that. I think that's true for a lot of the Midwest communities where we've lost a tremendous amount. That's true with our parochial schools as well. They've lost on the Illinois side. We've lost students. I can't speak for Moline and Rock Island, but I know they've lost students over the years.
Other questions?
Yes, sir.
Do you think there are other things going on in Iowa that we ought to be replicating as people are moving on there?
I think the overall education structure is much different than Illinois as far as how the funding goes. One example, this is a small example, is there's the Riverboat Development Authority that the school districts get money from the gambling interests, whereas here it's more localized in Illinois, and it's not spread out through the school districts. So Iowa schools have had a tremendous amount of positive impact from the gambling interest because the money is spread out, similar to the sales tax thing that I was talking about earlier, whereas the gambling interest in Illinois are much more localized, in my opinion.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you
for
very
your
much.
time.
Colette Sutton.
Good afternoon, everybody. Oops, I'm sorry. This is pretty intimidating. I'm a member of a group called VOICE, and that's an acronym for Voices on Issues and Concerns in Education. We are a group made up of diverse parties, but predominantly administrators in the central part of Illinois. And I'm also a member of the Starved Rock, Illinois Association of School Administrators. So I'm here to give you a little bit of a scenario of their position concerning some of the issues that have surfaced as a part of Classrooms First, and its predecessor, of course, the Realignment and Consolidation Commission. And their essential position concerning reorganization and consolidation is an opposition to forced consolidation. They recognize the need to discuss that at times, the need to look at issues where mergers would be productive for students, but they adamantly oppose any forced consolidation on the part of the state. I think the most important issue to recognize with regard to state funding as opposed to local funding is that the state of Illinois would not and has not saved any money through the consolidation process. Again, there's been numerous studies and numerous people talking to you today about some of the benefits of consolidation for some of our students and some of the increased offerings, mainly at the high school level when consolidation occurs, not so much at the elementary level. However, those issues really need to be ironed out at the local level with the local entities that are involved. There are a lot of complex issues, especially when you're looking at central Illinois and you're looking at schools that are very different than Chicago or more urban areas or even the Springfield or Peoria areas. So our areas are very unique. For example, my own experience, and I am not the biggest district in my area by any means. I'm a small rural district. I'm a superintendent of Lamoille 303. And we make up 80 square miles every day, and we're very small, and yet we have a huge district to try to provide busing for. So the two issues today, of course, are consolidation from the groups that I represent and transportation. And just to give you an idea that I'm sure people have talked to you about, so I don't want to throw 900 numbers at everyone here sitting at the committee, but local funding provides 65.3% of school funding. And the state of Illinois provides 22.4%, and the feds produce 12.4%. So the largest inputs being put into education come from our local taxpayers and our local tax base. So we really feel that decisions and discussions should be at that level when they're looking at issues that are going to affect the community, issues that are going to affect their children, and a lifetime decision for those kids. So that is primarily my reason for coming to speak to you today, and also with regard to transportation. The sudden shift and lack of payments that we've received that we had budgeted for produced for some of us some difficult budgeting situations, including this year, where it's a best case scenario of how do we budget for transportation. We have special ed children that we transport in our cooperative agreements, which were mentioned earlier by some of the gentlemen that came up to talk to you. We provide specialized services for a number of people, and we co-op with those. We have to provide transportation to those students. In addition, as districts get bigger, our square miles get bigger, and we are under the constraints of 1-hour bus trips. Bus routes are not supposed to be longer than an hour in the state of Illinois. So as we get bigger, we become under more problems with the bigger the routes, the longer the kids are on the buses. This is not necessarily a good thing for our kids. And so those are kind of the issues that I wanted to make sure you were at least aware of, and I don't want to belabor you because there's a lot more other issues that people want to talk to you about today.
Any questions? Okay, thanks very much for your input.
Dan Oakley.
Good afternoon. I am Dan Oakley of the Avon District in Avon, Illinois. You can call me Slash because in regard to efficiencies, I'm not only the superintendent, I'm also the elementary principal and transportation director. In regard to, I should disclose as well, we currently have a consolidation petition working through the hearing process at this time. In regard to efficiencies, smaller rural districts wrote the book. Take my school district, for example. The district is a member of several cooperatives: the West Central Illinois Special Education Cooperative, the Delabar CTE system, and GAVC for vocational education, the Carl Sandburg College EduNet Backbone Consortium, and the Western Illinois Purchasing Cooperative. Our ROE provides many shared services, including alternative schools. We have in the past and currently do share a variety of distance learning classes with the Williamsfield, Abingdon, and Bushnell Prairie City School Districts. We are involved in distance learning dual credit courses through Carl Sandburg College. We have staffed courses through the Illinois Virtual School. The Avon and Bushnell Prairie City School Districts are in a full athletic cooperative that includes shared coaches, facilities, and even sharing of transportation for practices and events. We contract with Spoon River Valley District for library media specialists and speech pathologist services. We contract with the Fulton County Health Department for nursing services. We are currently working on building a mentoring network for teachers with other similar small rural districts. The Avon District has reached far and wide to gain many efficiencies, and we continually look for opportunities. Tying together the concept of efficiencies with consolidation, almost all research in school reorganization and consolidation has shown that there are no financial savings when 2 or more unit districts unite. While there are localized current budget or in budgeted areas efficiencies, costs such as transportation increase and the contractual costs for employees tend to go up, sometimes considerably. The state will not save money by forcing reorganization on the unit school districts. One only has to look at the studies readily available in many states to acknowledge this fact. Is there anything additional that the state could do to help provide efficiencies for small districts? I can think of at least 2 that would have a major impact. First, allow all school districts, or at least as many as are interested in the state, to band together to compete for health insurance, much the same as has been done for state and university workers. Second, significantly reduce the load of the unfunded but mandated programs, services, paperwork, and time-intensive reports and projects. These represent people and hours of work and therefore dollars. Is there anything the state can do to encourage more districts to reorganize? Provide can't-say-no incentives, such as new state-of-the-art buildings if preset criteria are met, is one that I can think of. Someone else mentioned better incentives. I think that's a definite area to look into. While we all understand the financial position of the state of Illinois and applaud the effort to find savings where real savings may lie, supposed forced efficiencies and reorganizations are not the way to achieve this goal. It will work out much better for all if the state of Illinois would work with the smaller and rural districts instead of oppositional and directional approaches. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes.
Hi, Dan. Thanks for being here. I'm just curious about the teacher mentoring cooperative. How are you working that? Because that's unique.
We just started down that particular line. Our principal started talking with our high school principal started talking with the principal superintendent at Williamsfield about doing it between our two schools. She took it to a meeting that she was involved in with I think it was the Henderson, Warren, Mercer ROE, and that started something going with them, but kind of left us out because we're not part of that ROE. And so what we're doing is kind of starting to talk in our area in Fulton County about how we can work together, pair together teachers in the same subject area, same grade levels, to allow them someone to talk to, bounce ideas off of, to try to to get them help in places that, for example, I was trained as a math teacher, high school math teacher. Even though I'm the elementary principal, when an elementary pre-K teacher comes in and says, how do I do this particular curricular piece, or how do I deal with this particular problem, I have to go look for help. So by trying to build a network that will provide those teachers with someone else who's in their same position, we're hoping to be able to overcome the lack of the mentoring dollars at the state level to still provide us a network that we can use.
So as part of that, because you may only have one math teacher in a school, so you're trying to find
That
a
is
high school
correct.
level
For example, our elementary level, we have one pre-K teacher, one kindergarten teacher, one first grade teacher, et cetera. We have no one else for them to go to.
Other questions? I'd like to know more about, from your perspective, how the distance learning from Williamsfield works. We heard a little bit about that in Normal. Just what's your take on how that's working for you?
Very, very well. Obviously, you can only provide courses that students want, but when the students have wanted the particular courses, it has gone extremely well. First of all, I want to say that the Carl Sandburg College EduNet backbone has been an excellent delivery method for doing that. We have very little problems, technical problems, in making that work, which means that everything comes down to cooperation between the two schools. Sometimes it can seem like a little bit of a rat race around the buildings in the morning because there are documents flying via fax, via email that need to be printed off. Tests have to be sent via email, printed off. Obviously, someone needs to, you have to have someone in the room with the students. And so things kind of get a little bit hectic in dealing with that, but it has worked extremely well over the years in the various arrangements we've had.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Gary Edmonds.
Good afternoon. My name is Gary Edmonds. I'm a taxpayer and a board member of Galva School District 224. Our district currently has an enrollment of 608 students, and the enrollment has been relatively steady for the last 5 years. Our current graduating class has 43 members, and with some of our K-12 students riding our buses for more than an hour, as our routes cover 112 square miles twice a day. Despite our size, or perhaps because of our size, our students are high-performing academically, stacking up well against our immediate neighbors and other students statewide. Galva Elementary, Galva Junior Senior High School, and our whole district made AYP through 2010 and narrowly missed clearing the 85% threshold this year. Galva is one of the last schools in the area to officially obtain failure status under the No Child Left Behind. Years later, the nearby and larger Kewanee, Galesburg, and the districts in the Quad Cities. And we have done this by spending much less per student, averaging more than $2,000 per student, less than the state average. The Galva Community School District Board of Education values its ability to be heard and its ability to make decisions about the future of our students. Our board has progressively approached each of our neighboring districts of similar size to explore sharing resources. The board has carefully considered full K-12 consolidations, building a shared high school, and is currently exploring distance learning via virtual classrooms and shared vocational programs as cost-effective measures to offer that diverse curriculum. Additionally, Galva has partnered with Blackhawk College, and we pay tuition to provide college credit through dual enrollment. Currently, 37 of our 43 students, seniors, are taking first semester Blackhawk courses. As a result, recent graduating classes have earned an average of more than 10 hours of college credit per student. It is not uncommon for one of our graduates to complete an associate's degree 1 year removed from high school, effectively saving parents a year's worth of college expense. The board is proud of our attempts and successes in partnering with our neighbors and ensuring its graduates are college ready. The board believes that consolidating rural districts will result in higher overall costs and new layers of administration. Galva currently has 300 students per administrator, which is 100 students per administrator more than the state average. Many larger districts have an administrator-to-student ratio as low as 1 to 150. Our locally housed administration knows each of our students and families and helps the board make high-quality decisions. Our district is already geographically large in size. We know from recently consolidated districts in Bureau Valley and Monmouth-Roseville that busing expenses over a far-flung district cost far more than the administrative and personnel savings from the consolidation. Additionally, the smaller towns in those consolidated districts later lost all their elementary schools, even though the original committees of 10 had them in the initial consolidation plans. In short, our board firmly believes in the local control of its schools. Our best decisions come from consulting with our community, the parents of our students, our local administration, and teachers. We have the data to back it up. We produce college-ready graduates, many with 15 to 20 semester hours of college credit as they walk across our stage. Galva has among the highest state test scores in the region and does it for far less than the state average. The district is willing to share with neighbors via technology, instructors, or entire programs. It believes our own boards and administrators can work out those details far better than a remote bureaucrat, politician, or committee. If the Classroom First Committee truly lives up to its name, it will see that our rural school district, like most around us, does have first-rate classrooms, which are cost-effective, highly successful, and under the local control of competent, locally elected board members. On the other hand, if systematic state-mandated consolidations are on the horizon, at the direction of your committee or other elements of state government, it will be obvious to our Board of Education and community that you are not placing classrooms first, if we have classrooms at all. I close with a few questions. If mandated consolidations are a result of your Classrooms First committee, will the state be funding the cost of its mandate? If a new centrally located, larger high school is the best choice for consolidating districts, will there be $25 million available to build it? Will the transportation of students spread over possibly hundreds of square miles be reimbursed? Or will local taxpayers, students, teachers, and small communities again pay the price for politically motivated decisions from Springfield and Chicago? Thank you very much.
Okay, questions? Could I ask you, you mentioned things that you were considering, and you mentioned a cooperative arrangement?
For the distance curriculum, we have a small part of our district in Knox County, and they passed the 1% sales tax. So we're going to be using that money to enable some distance learning classrooms, trying to work with some of the local districts to do the math, the science, those things that many of the smaller districts struggle to have a full-time instructor for.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Janet Colopy.
Good afternoon. My name is Janet Colopy. I'm a family nurse practitioner in a rural clinic in Williamsfield, Illinois. Williamsfield's a village of approximately 600 in eastern Knox County, and it's also home to Community Unit School District 210, a district of under 300. I might add, I've served on that board for over 30 years. We strive to provide our students every opportunity necessary to be able to not only survive but be successful in the environment that they will face today and tomorrow. Financially, we have received a perfect rating for many years. That funding comes from 84% of local taxes, 6% federal money, and 10% from the state of Illinois. So there's minimal amount that comes from the state that guides what we do. We offer our juniors and seniors dual credit classes, allowing over 20 college credits by graduation, and many students have obtained over 20 hours. We offer life skill classes of childcare, EMS. We have our own buildings trades program and multiple opportunities that are offered by some of the things like the FCCLA, FFA. We also have had many of our students go on to serve as officers across the state of Illinois in some of those organizations. The key here is partnerships. We partner with the local junior college, Carl Sandburg, to offer our dual credits. But we also offer vocational education, and we partner with Avon to offer some of the distance learning classes. We not only excel in core educational requirements, but we offer extracurricular activities. We have music programs, art. We co-op our sports with neighboring districts. Our students have the opportunity to participate. Last year, our high school choir participated. Were invited to participate with the junior college choir at one of their activities. Our middle school kids have been asked to perform with the choral dynamic group in Galesburg this year. And we provide these things because as a board we feel this is important in spite of the fact that most of the transportation funding that we've had in the past has definitely been eliminated or exactly cut back. The key here is partnership. As citizens of Illinois, we have a responsibility to offer our children the best education we can to prepare them not only for what they're going to face when they walk out of the doors, but what they're going to face for the years and years ahead. That cannot and should not ever be measured by the number of students within that district, but rather by the participation, by the preparation that district offers those children as they leave. Larger classes are not necessarily better for the children of Illinois. And in answer to your question, and it's already been slightly, I had the privilege of following Avon, but through the creativity of two district officials, in a matter of just simply changing the starting time of your school day by 10 or 15 minutes on both parts, we were able to offer that and that district's over 60 miles away from us. It's not a neighboring district. So those of us that have been in small communities know what it takes in all aspects to be able to provide the things that we need. And as you can see by the financial incentives or lack thereof, we also know how to try to make it work with what we have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad I didn't need my glasses.
All right, no questions. Thank you very much.
Next, we have Teresa Stewart, and after Teresa, we have 5 speakers left that have signed up. If you've been sitting here in this room or in our packed overflow room and you want to speak, please step outside now, and I will take down your name. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Teresa Stewart. I'm also from the Williamsfield School District, which I am a board member. I just wanted to go over what Williamsfield has to offer. Our tax rate, Williamsfield has the lowest tax rate in Knox County at $3.19. Next lowest is Galesburg at $4.20. And the highest is Abingdon at $6.19. As Janet had mentioned, we do offer the college credit hours, which college graduate or the Williamsfield juniors and seniors can take at over 20 credit hours, and that includes public speaking, psychology, sociology, 2 semesters of Western civilization, and 2 semesters of college English. We also have preschool. Our school continues to provide access to an educational preschool program for all 3, 4, and 5-year-olds in the district, although it is no longer completely funded by the state of Illinois. Our reading skills, emphasis is on reading skills at Williamsfield from K through 12. In grades K through 6, there is at least 80 minutes of daily reading instruction, which includes 20 minutes of small group instruction based on ability level. Students in grades K through 9 may receive additional intensive reading services based on their needs. Career opportunities. Career opportunities are abound at Williamsfield. A complete array of programming is available in agriculture, business education, and family and career sciences for all students in grades in grades 8th through 12th grade. The financial rating that Williamsfield School District has received is a perfect financial rating issued by the state board. The rating is based on a ratio of expenditure to revenue, ratio to fund balances to revenue, days of cash on hand, and the amount of short and long-term debt. The ACT scoring that the Williamsville graduating class of 2010 earned was a 21.5, while the state average was a 20.7. The elementary and middle school have consistently earned recognition for making AYP. There is also training opportunities for our juniors and seniors, have the opportunity to attend more depth in classes for welding, auto body, networking technology, and childcare in Galesburg. The athletic opportunities, high school has the opportunities that have expanded this past year to football, girls basketball, and also track. We also have K through 12th grade, our art and music is available to all students. In 2010, our graduating rate was at 100%. That's all I have. Is there any questions?
No. All right, thanks very much.
Thank you.
John Meeksiever.
Good afternoon. My name is John Meixner. I'm the regional superintendent of schools for Hancock and McDonough counties, and currently a statewide volunteer. And I serve as a secretary of the Illinois Association of Regional Superintendent of Schools. As you're looking for ways to reorganize education and find efficiencies in the system, I want to briefly discuss, for the record, our current efforts to meet those goals. First, regional superintendents currently serve a vital role in the reorganization process. As you may well be aware, by statute, School Code Article 11E, the regional superintendents of schools is the election official in any consolidation process. We are involved from the feasibility study stage all the way past the election to the school board organizational stage. Matter of fact, I'm currently involved with one consolidation process with Abington Community Unit School District, Avon Unit School District, and Bushnell Prairie City Unit School District in Knox, Warren, Fulton, and McDonough counties. I just finished hosting the public hearing less than a week ago. The committee attending this initiative has done a wonderful job over the past 18 months or so, holding numerous public meetings and collecting all the data needed to make a recommendation to consolidate. If you've not had a chance to read through Article 11E of the School Code, I invite you to do so, as the process is very well laid out in keeping local control the theme prevalent throughout. It begins locally and ends locally. Another role I want to touch on briefly is a search for shared services as we work cooperatively with local school districts. Indeed, after the passage of Public Act 97357 last spring, regional superintendents are, quote, encouraged to offer school districts the opportunity to share in joint educational or operational programs and to urge school districts to participate in these programs when it is, quote, fiscally prudent. To paraphrase the law, these services may include bidding, purchasing, office functions like payroll and accounting, information technology, professional development, grant writing, food service management, transportation, energy purchasing, supply purchasing, more. Now, my colleagues and I have been a little sidetracked the last few months, but we do continue to work to meet the needs of our local schools and look for more efficient ways to deliver services as we go forward. For some examples, the Hancock-McDonough ROE is a fiscal agent for the West Central Illinois Special Education Cooperative, which covers 5 counties, and the Western Area Career System, which covers 4 counties, which is the vocational cooperative, where all our administrative offices are housed in the same location in Macomb. We share personnel, office equipment, meeting spaces, etc. It's been a wonderful one-stop shop for educational agencies for many, many years. The Hancock-McDonough ROE is also the host of the Western Area Purchasing Cooperative. This cooperative was created out of the office and has now expanded to 54 schools and 10 other entities, including churches, community centers, UVI Extension, rehabilitation centers, some summer ball programs, and a sheriff's office. This purchasing cooperative saves entities in everything from copy paper, cafeteria food, maintenance supplies, office and computer supplies, to athletic supplies. The average saving we calculate for these entities is roughly 20% annually. Another shared service idea that began out of the Hancock-McDonough ROE was a cooperative idea for health insurance benefits for school districts in our region. The Western Area Health Benefits Plan began over 25 years ago and has now grown to nearly 30 school districts and is a self-governed plan that is quite strong and viable. The list of programs and services that our ROE offers or has started is too numerous to list. It ranges from preschool programs to professional development services to our truancy program to our fingerprinting background check services to our safe alternative schools and on and on. With all these services that streamline the educational delivery, I thought it'd be appropriate to remind everyone on a task force report only 1 year ago that addressed this very topic. It was titled the Streamlining Illinois Education Delivery System Task Force, which was released in October of 2010. And one of the primary findings, and I quote, "One mechanism for efficiency and excellence is to allow for the regional offices of education and intermediate service centers to emerge as the primary delivery system of educational support and assistance to Illinois districts and schools." I would highly encourage this task force report be considered by the Commission during your final report. We believe the regional offices of education are an excellent model in this state for an effective and efficient intermediate delivery system. Our state superintendent has said numerous times this state needs this delivery model. I would also like to ask this commission to keep one thing in mind as you proceed. That is the place of public education in this representative democracy. As we work to make the most effective and efficient educational system that we can for our students in the classrooms, we must remember to set up a process that makes sense and that listens to the voice of the local citizen. Listening to the voices of citizens is often a muddled process, but is the goal of public education to produce educated and effective citizens to participate in this democracy. Then we have to remember to listen to those local voices that are participating. That is what we teach our students. That is what we must practice as leaders. On behalf of the elected regional superintendents of schools, I thank you for your time, your service, and listening to our voices as we work to better education for the kids in our classroom.
Any questions?
Can I go over?
Just a little bit? Not a problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joe Campbell.
Members of the Classroom First Commission, greetings from Western Illinois, and thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony. My name is Joe Campbell. I am District Superintendent at La Harpe CSD 347 and also at Dallas Elementary School District 327, located in Hancock, Henderson, and McDonough counties. I have had the opportunity over the past 10 years to be involved in 3 different school district reorganization efforts. The third was successful, and in 2007, the 2 elementary districts that I represent, and also Carthage Elementary School District 317 and Illini West High School District number 307 were created. 4 districts created out of 3. The district reorganization was the first and to date the only successful unit district conversion in the state of Illinois. I cannot speak for my colleagues, but I believe it was successful for 2 reasons. 1, it addressed the main area of concern in each of the districts, and 2, it enabled communities to maintain local control of the destiny of their elementary districts. The main area of concern was the ability to provide a high-quality educational opportunity at the high school level. As we know, the capacity for funding education in Illinois is based on 2 main things: ADA, average daily attendance, and EAV, equalized assessed value. The unit district conversion created a high school district of nearly 500 students with a property value exceeding $100 million. In Western Illinois, those are big numbers. At the same time, it created 3 locally controlled elementary districts with adequate enrollments to provide a high-quality educational experience for their students. The unit conversion option enabled communities to address the problems they faced. If large unit district consolidation was the only option available, we may still be working to pass a reorganization referendum. Another district reorganization, perhaps the formation of a unit district, may occur in the near or distant future. But that is a decision that I believe should be made at the local level with a focus on providing what is best for students as it has in the past. My point is not to say that our system is the best or that all districts in Illinois should be under a dual high school and elementary system. It is, however, one that has enabled our communities to accomplish what I believe are the overlying goals of your commission: improving the educational opportunities for students with a focus on the wise use of public funds. I do want to emphasize that Illinois is a very diverse state, as you know, and we need to avoid trying to find one perfect system to address the variety of problems that we face in public education. Again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to address the commission, and thank you for your service on behalf of public education in the great state of Illinois. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, thanks very much.
All right, we have 3 speakers left, and the next one is Tom Berg.
Hello, everyone. At least I'm not last. I had a bunch of things I was going to say, but after listening to everyone else, I think I'll just tell you a little short, happy story. I'm the superintendent of the Hampton School District, which is a couple miles from here outside, or in the Quad Cities, on the edge of the Quad Cities, and we are a K through 8, 250 student district. Last year, 97% of our students passed ISAT. We had more students exceed in math than met in math. I don't know if anybody else can say that. We do this for about $7,000 a student, which puts us in the bottom 20%, I think, in the state as far as expenditure per student. So we're doing all right. We have 5 sports, which includes cheerleading in grades 5 through 8. We have volunteer coaches. We don't cut anyone, so no matter what your ability, you're going to get to play. No tears from kids that get cut from a program. And we do share a lot of services and staff with the districts that are around us. Our students go to United Township High School, where they do very well. They fill up the ranks of the top 10 and the honor roll when they're there. And I'm in my 9th year there, and I've never had someone from town come up to me and say, you know, we should really join a larger district so we can create a large bureaucracy so that you can be hidden away in a central office somewhere and we can't find you. People that send their students and send their kids to a place like Hampton, they send them there because they want to, and it's their decision. Our housing prices aren't high, they're not low, it's pretty comparable to the rest of the Quad Cities. So if you live in the Quad Cities and you want your child to go to a large district, we've got a couple large districts. You want them to go to a very small district, we've got a couple very small. You want a medium-sized district, we have them here. And if you have the ability to move around the Quad Cities and choose the district that you want, then you can do that. And I think that's true probably with just about every metropolitan area in the state. And I think it's really a great thing that we have. So I know a lot of times people look at, oh, there's 800 some school districts, that must be really inefficient. And a couple of people that spoke ahead of me are superintendents and principals as well, so am I. HR, curriculum, everything. I mean, I am the bureaucracy. And if you go to a large district, you're not going to find the superintendent on the playground before school. And you may not find them at all. I think in the large towns, you know, Decatur, Peoria, Rockford, wherever, you know, their boardrooms they're made to be a boardroom. They're on TV. They've got nice microphones like we have here, but that's not what it is in a lot, or probably in any of the districts of the people that have spoke here today. It's much more down home, I guess, much more, I don't want to say informal, because people conduct business the proper way, but people are much more accessible, whether a board member or a school administrator. So with that, I thank you for being here. I wish you'd have called me before you would have come up here. I could have given you the right directions.
Thank you. Next time. Any questions? All right. Thanks very much.
Ralph Grimm.
Lieutenant Governor Simon, thank you for the opportunity to address the commission today. I had some remarks and left them on my desk when I walked out this morning. And the benefit of being near last is I can say ditto to pretty much everything that's been said. But let me just add a couple of comments. Some of you around the table know a lot about Western Illinois, my district in particular. Dr. Johnson, the West Central District is a recently consolidated district, came about in 2005. We've been very, very successful in many fronts, and I'd be glad to talk with you about that, but some of my colleagues back here probably wouldn't really appreciate that. But we are an example of a consolidation that has worked. Test scores have risen. Our finances have been improved significantly. And the primary way we were able to do that was we eliminated 36 full-time positions when the two districts came together. Tough decisions, but it did work. But I just want to say that it is my opinion in Illinois the quality of a student's education is the function of the wealth of the community that they grow up in. If we want to address performance issues, let's make sure we address the funding issues. Let's pay to make sure that every student in this state has the resources necessary to have a quality education. I understand that's probably beyond the purview of your committee, but let's level the playing field for so many of our kids. We're able to do so many things out here in Western Illinois, and I've spent my entire career, 28 years in Western Illinois, and I consider that south of the Quad Cities to Adams County, out of necessity. John Meixner's office and his predecessors saw a need to create an insurance co-op. It's been 25 years, it's 32 or 33 schools. We banded together, we purchased our health insurance benefits. It has been a tremendous program. And there are multiple programs. Dr. Swanstrom, you've heard about most of those in Western Illinois, and I would concur. I've seen some of those from their very beginning. They work because there was a need, and people got together, and they solved the problem on their own. It didn't take a task force. It didn't take a commission. We saw a need. We solved the problem. I would encourage all of you to come to Western Illinois and see how it works. Almost every district in that geographic area that I just mentioned has been the result of some type of reorganization. Whether it be a consolidation, convergence, deactivation, we could write the book on it. And it works, but it was a local decision. And I would encourage you to keep that in your mind first and foremost. One of your tasks is to look at efficiencies within districts. I say this with all due respect, really. With the way the state has not funded our mandated programs, with the lack of transportation reimbursements, with the whole issue around payment to schools, I'd say we're awful darn efficient. We've let people go because we can't afford them. Again, come out and see what's happening in the field. Come out to the individual schools who have cut administrators, teachers, support staff personnel. It's happening. We don't need a commission. We don't need a task force, and we don't need to be told what to do. We're doing it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, thanks.
Our last speaker is Joe Vermeen.
My name is Joe Vermeer. Have been past regional superintendent of schools here in Rock Island County, so I welcome you to Rock Island County, the place where the river runs east and west. It's an exciting place with wonderful educators. I am so proud of what has been testified to today by the people sitting behind me in the room across the hall. Hopefully they will give you some things to think about as you go back and contemplate your conclusions to your commission. As a retired regional superintendent, I've been allowed to be able to do a few tasks for Regional Superintendent Tammy Murhoff, and been able to continue to see buildings and educators, and it's been a real pleasure seeing that after 42 years of being in education, continuing on in a more observant type of capacity has allowed me to look at what's going on. And as I see the things that the tasks that you're given, it's a formidable task, and I wish you luck on that. As a regional superintendent, we also did the people's choice, and we had feasibility studies. We consolidated when the community felt that was necessary in the Committee of 10. Our Regional Board of School Trustees is always on the ready and willing to work with school districts and looking at those options and looking at the various efficiencies that consolidation may bring about. And certainly we have done that 2 other times in the not-so-distant past. And at that point, the costs versus the gains were too great. And those school districts, although they didn't consolidate, they continued to cooperate. They continued to cooperate with classes, cooperate in transportation, cooperate in all sorts of areas. As regional offices of education, of course, we do many of the things that you heard the Honorable John Mexner talk about. We talk about paper product purchasing, cooperative purchasing. We talk about the coordination of people transportation. We certainly developed professional, we worked on professional development, some 350 workshops a year in a 7-county area. Working on committees that aligned curriculum, coming together and sharing staff and sharing hard-to-place staff. Many of these things were brought together by those same communities that decided we're not going to consolidate, but we're going to cooperate. And that was their decision. That was their local control to do that. Not going to spend a lot of time talking about some of the same things the other people talked about, but I also would like to highlight the task force on streamlining Illinois' educational delivery systems from last October 2010, and their recommendations. There are 5 recommendations, including the main conclusion of establishing ROEs as the main delivery system. ROEs continue to work to implement those legislative initiatives that are placed upon us. And we do that to the best of our ability with the resources that we have. I appreciate the Commission coming here. I appreciate your genuine review of that testimony that's been given to you today. We look for that. We look to work with you on that. And thank you very much. And by the way, I do have my bow tie on.
Oh, that's cute. I like
yes,
that.
Yes.
Any questions?
Yes, I have one.
Yeah.
Were you an ROE when they were downsized a number of years ago?
Yes, sir.
And how did that impact on your ability to deliver?
We were already in a cooperative venture with there's 7 of us that work together in many different things. We continued to deliver those services. We were able to keep offices open so that educators, administrators could come to professional development, could make decisions on how to get services. But that was at 45. You have to remember, we started out at 102, 75, 57, 45, 44, and 3 ISCs. The thing that happened then was under Representative Joel Brunswold's bill, House Bill 525, ECSs, Educational Service Centers, became ROEs. We were given that ability to expand and to do many of the things that we're doing today. That was the beginning, the evolution of ROEs and that primary delivery system that we're looking at. So that was a good thing. At the same time that we consolidated, we also were given authority to do many other things that were just sitting there waiting to be done.
So consolidating those offices was, in your opinion, a good thing?
Going from 57 to 44 worked out.
Okay. Other questions? All right. Well, thank you very much, Joe. Thank you, everyone who's been here. Thank you, folks in the remote room. Hello, whoever you are. Glad you're here. Glad you're there. Thank you, Pat, on the phone. And we are here because we wanted to hear from you, and there are continuing opportunities to be able to hear from you. Please feel free to get in touch with us by getting in touch with my office. We have a website, I have offices in Chicago, Springfield, and Carbondale, if you're ever down in that department of the state. I think all of us as commission members regard that function very seriously. So please stay in touch with good ideas along the way. Thank you very much.